Chris Pratt mocks woke critics. We have updates on illegal immigration, and Democrats are just running LA County right into the ground. All that and more here on The Bald Brad Show. Welcome to The Bald Brad Show. It is Tuesday, August 9th, and I gotta say, folks, what a community we are building here at The Bald Brad Show. We got conservatives, we got Republicans, we got moderates, we got independents. We are all coming together as a community, and quite frankly, we're just all true American patriots that want to get conservative thought and ideas out there to people, maybe red pill them, heck, just wake them up. And we are doing that here, folks. We are growing exponentially here on The Bald Brad Show, and it's all thank you to you for, one, watching the episodes, sitting through and watching all of it, as well as hitting that like and subscribe button and sharing the videos to your friends and family. So I want to thank you all. We are a community, and we are banding together here to make a difference and hopefully get Republicans back in office. As always, if you do want to join us here at The Bald Brad Show, and like I said, I hope that you do because we are growing, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're over at Rumble, hit the plus and give us a comment down below. And if you're listening on any of the podcast airwaves, heck, folks, we're everywhere. You can listen to us on any platform. Leave us a lovely 5-star review. Not only would you be supporting conservative, but most importantly, you'd be supporting getting conservative thought and ideas out there to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. So your help and support would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, speaking of patriotism and being a patriot, we got Chris Pratt in the news here. And for a good reason, because he mocks woke critics of the terminal list. Now, there's a little bit of backstory here. Chris Pratt's been mocked a lot because he's a Christian, he's someone of faith, and clearly the left, the progressive left, don't like that aspect of him. Furthermore, you put that in combination with him supporting the vets, the troops, and him just being patriotic himself, loving this great nation, just like all of us, he gets backlash from Hollywood. Thankfully, he's one of the few Republicans and conservatives out there, as well as Christians, that aren't necessarily getting blacklisted because the guy just brings in billions of dollars to the town of Hollywood. So thankfully, he's still being out there making blockbuster films, and he's also making blockbuster TV shows here because you got Chris Pratt hitting 1.6 billion minutes on the streaming service Amazon Prime for the TV show Terminal List. We've talked about this show numerous times. We actually showed a video of Jack Carr, the author of the Terminal List, as well as 4 other novels for the James Reese series that just talks about him being a former Navy SEAL, how he developed these stories, that the stories were, yes, written as a book or a novel, but they were always meant to be on the screen. And he always had Chris Pratt in mind, which is just amazing because it just shows you that when a writer has something in his mind and he knows a direction or she knows a direction that they want to go with the character and they have somebody specifically in mind, it just builds an entire story, an entire atmosphere that's just mind-blowing. And that's what you get out of the Terminal List. Episode 1 is going to blow your mind. If you haven't seen the show yet, you got to get Amazon Prime and check it out. I'm telling you, you won't regret it just from episode 1. So Chris Pratt has a message for woke reviewers of his new Amazon Prime video project, The Terminal List, which has received negative critic reviews, despite audience being overwhelmingly receptive to the Navy SEAL-focused thriller. I mean, the critics are just shellacking him. We see this all the time. If you looked at the critics score for Maverick, Tom Cruise's film, that made over $1 billion at the box office, compared to the audience score, I mean, the critics don't know what the hell they're talking about. They are so biased. They're so politically left-leaning. It is mind-blowing, and it reflects in their score. And it just shows you, you can look at that score itself, whether it's on the Terminal List or it's on the Tom Cruise movie Maverick, and you can really see the difference in just America in general compared to the progressive left and Democrat Party. I mean, they don't have a clue what people like, which is why their scores reflect one way. Everybody else's reflects something totally different. So Pratt shared the link to a Daily Mail report comparing the Terminal List to the show Yellowstone. If you don't know Yellowstone, I haven't watched it myself yet. I heard I got to get into it, but I'm hearing great things about that show, which is another critically acclaimed panned drama that audiences love to watch. The title of the article reads, "The New Yellowstone, Chris Pratt's new Navy thriller, The Terminal List, defies woke critics' scathing reviews to shoot up ratings chart with 1.6 billion minutes of streams." In the streaming world, folks, that's a smash hit. You've hit a grand slam. It's out of the park. It's hard to put into words what type of ratings that is. It is astonishing. Astonishing. The actor posted the article to his Instagram stories over the weekend, followed by a photo of Dr. Evil from the Austin Powers franchise with the caption, 1.6 billion minutes. Reiterating just how popular the project is with fans. Quote, the terminal list follows Pratt depicting Navy SEAL Commander James Reese as he embarks on a mission to find out who killed his platoon and get revenge on them. It's also really more of a psychological thriller too, because you get into the mind of James Reese and you're not quite sure what is real and what isn't. I don't want to spoil it for you all, but man, it is well written. It is a well novel to screen adaptation. Just a fabulous job by everybody that's done the production, both on camera and just behind camera. You have here Rotten Tomatoes reporting an average rating of 40 out of 100 from the critics. But watch the viewers. The viewers was 94 out of 100. Not even close. I mean, the critics versus the views, not even the same ballpark. And for those that are frequent viewers of the Bald Brad Show, we've always said, you have the progressive left, the Democrat Party, not in reality with or in tune with anybody else in America. You have America over here. I mean, it is constant. You see it from the president. You see it in the vice president. You see it in Karine Jean-Pierre's messaging. You see it from Congress. They're just not in touch. And it is mind-blowing that they are willing to continue to push this LGBTQ plus agenda on Disney Plus, Peacock, and all these other places and lose a ton of money rather than just going with what the viewers want and making billions at the box office. Look at what Tom Cruise did. And they can't wrap their head around it. You have these execs that don't give a two. They don't want patriotic films. When was the last time we saw a full-blown, amazing, just absolutely stunning war film that was pro-American? The last one that comes to mind, honestly, is Saving Private Ryan. You have We Are Soldiers with Mel Gibson. You have Band of Brothers. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, really, Flag of Our Fathers, Letters to Iwo Jima, that I think was directed by Clint Eastwood. But, I mean, you're talking years ago, a decade ago. I mean, when was a real, just American patriot one, other than Tom Cruise, other than Terminal List? They're far and few between, folks. You also had Daniel Feinberg from The Hollywood Reporter describing it as the entertainment equivalent of a charred hockey puck with the same limited range of flavor and aesthetics. But the audience just don't agree. As a veteran, I appreciate their efforts to make this as realistic as possible, one Rotten Tomatoes reviewer wrote. Several other reviewers said that the show depicted the military as it really was, rather than the typical Hollywood version. That's important because I just read Jack Carr's second novel that comes after here, The Terminal List, which would be novel 1. And one thing he talked about was everything in this book or his novels that he writes is stuff that he's experienced himself, that those weapons are being used for a specific reason, the calibers being used for a specific reason. Everything that is in detailed there has a 100% reason for being in that sentence or being in that paragraph. Now, I will say this was a quick read. It was an okay read. I'm not going to say it was the best book I've ever read, but what I can say is that because his intention is for these novels to be put on the screen, this is going to make a hell of a sequel to The Terminal List. I will say that much. So if you go pick it up, usually it's cheap at Barnes & Nobles. If you guys want me to do more like actual in-depth book reviews, I read a ton of books. I have a library of books that I could talk about and refer to all of you. If that's something you would like me to do on like a Sunday special where, yes, we'll still do like a political episode, but also a side episode that's just doing book reviews and something that I could recommend you all to read and kind of go in depth of it, what I thought of it. Was it a quick read? What was the author's intention? What did I really get out of the book? How does it connect to other things and other politics? I don't just read fiction, but I also read a lot of nonfiction as well. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know. We can do something like that as well. But you have here, again, a discrepancy between everybody and the critics, which is typical Hollywood. Quote, an awesome show. Chris Pratt is fantastic. As a non-right-winger, this show is for everyone. Quote, it's a universal truth of Rotten Tomatoes. If the critics hate it and the audience loves it, over 95% positive, then it is a guaranteed hit. That's the case here. This show was excellent. One of the few new shows that I had to binge because you wanted to know what happened next. Someone else shared it. Damn good quote there from that viewer. And it's true. I mean, You can watch this show in a day. It's that good. It's so binge worthy. It is mind blowing. Lastly, great TV series. Awesome to see a modern production showing real men and some traditional values: loyalty, courage, duty, family, overcoming hardship. Hope Studios take note of what the public really wants, in total opposition to the critics who are mainly elitist ideologues. Again, you have these execs in these major studios that are pulling the strings, and they're not always pulling it in the right direction. Majority of the time, they're not pulling it in the right direction. This is what people want. They want patriotic films. If the Daily Wire does a patriotic war film, you're gonna have a smash hit almost automatically. There is such an appetite for this, and for some reason Hollywood is just not pumping it out, and people are starving for this type of content. So if you haven't seen The Terminal List, go see it on Amazon Prime. If you're not willing to watch it, heck, grab Jack Carr's book. Support a vet, support a Navy SEAL. The guy sacrificed his life for this country. Thank God he's still alive, writing books, doing yeoman's work over there for Amazon Prime and Chris Pratt. Now, moving into our next story of the day, I wanted to give you an update on illegal immigration and what's kind of happening around the United States. So on August 6th, U.S. Border Patrol and the United States Coast Guard intercepted a human smuggling ship just offshore of Florida near Key Largo, carrying over 300 illegal aliens from Haiti. The ship had run aground in shallow waters. According to Adam Huffner, Division Chief for the United States Customs and Border Protection Miami operations, says that 113 illegals jumped in and swam ashore. Those who made land were taken into Border Patrol custody and then medically screened. The 218 illegal aliens who remained on the smuggling vessel were transferred to the United States Coast Guard ships, and according to the Miami Herald, will likely be sent back to Haiti. Yet the chief patrol agent said that the incident was being treated as a national security mission and that authorities were still trying to identify the human smugglers among those who had been on board. Now, this is a massive deal because, look, we've talked so much about these gotaways that are being called, the ones that aren't being apprehended, the ones that are just honestly, quite frankly, just running right into the interior of the country. We don't know who they are. We don't know anything about them. They could be terrorists. They could be violent gang members. They could be drug traffickers. They could be sex offenders. They could be sex traffickers. I mean, we don't know who these people are. Look, there's people on the other side of the aisle. The left don't care. They say that they care about all this stuff. They don't. They want these people to come. And what's amazing is when they do come to our country, or when you have Abbott from Texas or Ron DeSantis from Florida busing these illegal immigrants that are apprehended to Washington, D.C. or New York, they all of a sudden get in an uproar. The Democrat Party, the progressive left start complaining. And who are they blaming? Republicans for all this stuff. But they're not blaming the Democrats. They're not blaming Biden. They're not blaming Harris. They're not blaming Alejandro Mayorkas, the DHS secretary, for any of this illegal immigration. No. They're blaming us Republicans. I mean, it is so baffling that they would blame us. I mean, to try and wrap your head around it, you would just be spinning your wheels. There's no actual logical reason as to why you're going to blame us for the bleep storm that Joe Biden created at the southern border, from his messaging to his removal policies and the lack of executing the laws that are already on the books. I mean, he is to blame for all of this. You to blame us is ridiculous. You also had Huffner noting that the U.S. Border Patrol has dealt with 16 illegal landings since August 4th, resulting in the detention of 263. These Florida encounters do not include maritime interdictions, which as recent as July incidents near the Boca Chica Key, and I'm probably butchering that, where 163 Haitian illegal aliens were stopped and ultimately briefed and then sent back. Over 800 Haitians have landed illegally in the Florida Keys so far this year, while almost 3,000 Haitian migrants have been stopped at sea since October 2021. Now, you're having this influx happening at the Florida state, right? The state of Florida, or the border of Florida down there. But I mean, like we've said so many times on this show, you have over 1.5 million illegal immigrants being apprehended at the U.S.-Mexico border since Joe Biden's taken office. You have over 1 million gotaways being not let in the country, just not being stopped. So you're looking at over 2.5, maybe 3+ million people just let into the interior here. Because some of those that are being apprehended, over 1 million of them have been let into the interior by Joe Biden. So, 1 + 1, that equals 2. We're looking at over 2 million that we think that we know about. It's obviously more than that. So that's what's happening in the U.S.-Mexico border, 6,000 to 8,000 per day, over 200,000 a month, and you have this whole debacle going on in Florida, which, Ron DeSantis isn't going to put up with that crap whatsoever. You also have a Texas woman that has been charged after 17 illegal immigrants, including 2 children, were allegedly found hiding in her home. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Northern District of Texas, you have this person, age 30, who had been charged with alien harboring. Authorities believe that Castro, who's the person's name, and a member of her family had joined forces with a human smuggling ring to extort money from illegal immigrants. This is what Joe Biden's for, okay? Because if he wasn't, look, if you're a Democrat or even a leftist and you're listening to this show, you can't be for this. I mean, you're doing harm to these illegal immigrants. They're extorting them for money. Wait till we get into the details here. But this is not okay. I mean, Joe Biden has literally created a multi-billion-dollar industry just on smuggling. That's not including the sex trafficking, and that's not including the drug trafficking that's taking place. The hundreds of billions of dollars that's being utilized here at the southern border alone, it's so baffling. And it's such a dereliction of duty when you are the president of the United States and your job is to protect American citizens and you're just not willing to do it. That to me right there is grounds for impeachment, in my opinion. If you are doing such a bad job like this and you're willfully not trying to protect our borders, I think that's room for impeachment. I'm not trying to remove him because of, he's all crazy in the head. I'm not trying to impeach him because of the other debacle, because I don't have enough evidence for that, meaning the Hunter Biden laptop and stuff like that. This is out there in the open. And I think that if you're willing to do more harm than good regarding our U.S.-Mexico border and not protect everything that's taking place there, you should be let go. The DOJ claimed that it first learned of the operation when a woman in California alerted local authorities that her sister had been held hostage in Texas. The woman claimed that her sister was traveling from Guatemala and had hoped to be granted asylum in the United States. Hoped, right? This again comes with the messaging that they're just hoping for certain things to happen even though they don't meet certain criteria. Folks, the vast majority of those trying to come here and seek an asylum, I mean, you're talking high 90 percentile, aren't even close to meeting asylum standards. However, just before she crossed the border from Mexico, she was allegedly kidnapped by members of the Mexican drug cartel. Ooh, Joe Biden loves them, don't he? I mean, they're just killing it right now. Joe Biden was the best investment for the cartel. I mean, let's be honest with each other. The amount of money they are raking in the dough right now is just stupid. It's just ridiculous. While Joe Biden's basically allowing them to make billions of dollars in profit, we're spending billions of dollars heading over to Ukraine, giving them military-grade weapons as well as just American cash. All the while, Ukraine wants to allow China to help them rebuild. Isn't that fun? She was taken into the U.S. and transported back and forth between Texas and New Mexico until she ultimately wound up at Castro's home. The unidentified woman was supposedly sent her sister a pin of her location in Friona, Texas, before she escaped. When police conducted a search of Castro's home, they said they discovered 17 illegal immigrants hiding throughout the house. Some were concealing themselves in the attic and cupboards and inside totes covered in blankets, according to statements from the DOJ. Is this some Nazi Germany stuff going on? We're just hiding people Anne Frank style, which is illegal, obviously, what people are willing to do here. But look, it doesn't get into the aspect from the Democrat Party, meaning their messaging in terms of what's really taking place here with these illegal immigrants. Let's go over it on the Bald Brad Show and expose what's actually happening. When questioned, the people found at the home admitted they had entered the U.S. illegally. However, they also claimed that they had been held at Castro's home, get this, told they were either paid Castro between $10,000 to $12,000 for entrance fees, or they had to work off their debt. And this happens all the time. We saw Ted Cruz actually talk about this, where you're having these illegal aliens, these illegal immigrants coming across the border, and they're wearing wristbands that have certain colors on them to signify what they owe the cartel in terms of money. Folks, some of this comes in terms of trafficking themselves, where they will hire some of these illegal immigrants to traffic other people to help pay off their debt. Quote, they indicated that the smugglers had confiscated their cell phones and only allowed intermittent contact with family members in order to obtain money to pay their entrance fees. Several stated that they believed they had to stay at the residence in Friona, until their entrance fee had been paid in full. Castro supposedly threatened to deprive them of food and water until their payments were made. Look, it is the Democrats' fault. I know that some people that watch the show, like I said, there's independents, there's moderates that do watch the show. They are to blame. I know you don't like me continually calling out the Democrat Party, but there is nobody else to blame. It is Joe Biden's fault. It is Kamala Harris' fault. It is Alejandro Mayorkas. You can't blame Border Patrol. They're doing everything they can. Border Patrol is literally taking volunteers because they can't handle the influx of people. And that's why you have these gotaways. And now you have this stuff taking place. This is only one example. Can you imagine the thousands of people that are being stuffed in cupboards, that are being stuffed in totes, in the walls of houses, that aren't being fed, that aren't being given water, and all these crazy things? But remember when AOC goes down to the border, I'm like, oh, they're drinking out of toilets. Well, they aren't drinking out of toilets, AOC, you idiot. The water is clean. The water is, okay, let's just back up a second. Even if they were, and this isn't what's happening, even if they were drinking out of our toilets, right? They're not. They never were. But even if they were, that water is cleaner than what they were drinking in Mexico, okay? So this whole thing of like, well, they were drinking, the fountain was attached to the top. It was all in unison because our drinking water and our toilet water come from the same place. They're the same thing, okay? They have a drinking fountain above the toilet. You get it. I don't need to keep going. Furthermore, she's all up in arms about that, but where's she up in arms about all this? Where is she going and yelling at Joe Biden, calling him a racist, calling him all these other things about what he's doing at the U.S.-Mexico border and what he's allowing to happen? Where is she on that? Where is the Democrats? Where is the squad on all this? They're nowhere to be found. They don't give a two. They just want to sit there and pander to their base. They want to pander to all these people that want open borders and all this stuff to happen, which is mind-blowing. You got this taking place just the other month. We had in double digits, what was like 30-something illegal immigrants were just stuffed in a big rig trailer and died. So this is happening all the time, folks. You also have ranchers in Texas that have hundreds of bodies on their land just laying there dead because these people are trying to make the trek and don't make it. And they don't know what to do with the bodies. Nobody's helping them. We did that episode, God, like a year and a half ago, and it's still happening. They've never seen so many bodies in their life. There's just people dying everywhere on these ranchers' properties. This stuff is just out of control. It is ridiculous. It is a dereliction of duty. And like I said, I think this should be grounds for impeachment because this is just, imagine how many terrorists are in this country right now, folks. Imagine how many violent people have been let into this country because this president doesn't want to do his job. Well, speaking of people not wanting to do their job, Democrats are riding Los Angeles County right into the ground. I've grown up here my entire life. I've seen it where it's here, and let me tell you, it is down here. Anywhere you go in LA, movies will only show you the good parts. And even sometimes if you look closely, you can see the bad parts. You don't have to go far in LA to see prostitution, people passed out on drugs, poop on the ground. You can go to playgrounds and see syringes, drug use, razor blades. I mean, there was a time, and I think it is still happening, where every month they have to comb in certain areas of Los Angeles, the playground, so that kids don't pick up razors and use syringes from the homeless. Well, check this out. Los Angeles County council members will consider passing an initiative Friday that could force hotels to report vaccines and house homeless individuals in empty rooms. Unit Here Local 11, a progressive union representing 32,000 hospitality workers in Southern California and Arizona, reportedly gathered over 120,000 signatures for a proposed initiative ordinance that would require all hotels, luxury to family-owned, to house the city's growing homeless population. Isn't that just lovely? I'm glad, I am glad that if there are any Democrats that are one of these owners of these hotels, that you're having to deal with this now because you're the ones that voted in this knucklehead, or you're one of the few that voted in this knucklehead to run the state into the ground. And I'm talking about Gavin Newsom, and I'm talking all the way down to the mayor of LA. They all suck. They all are terrible, and now you got this going on. Quote, it'll help create an emergency solution for people that need housing immediately. Maria Hernandez, communications director for the union. We have members that are on edge of potentially becoming homeless people. Hernandez said that the initiative would pick up where the Project Room Key initiative, which paid hotels to house homeless folks during the pandemic, left off. The measure would force each hotel by 2 p.m. You notice that word force, by 2 p.m. every day to report the number of available rooms at the hotel for that night. Ray Patel, president of the Northeast Los Angeles Hotel Owners Association, called the initiative crazy. Patel said the association's members are worried that the initiative, noting security concerns for his customers and staff. Yeah. I mean, you don't know who the hell they're allowing into that room, what type of damages they're going to do to that room, what they're going to do in that room. I mean, wild. This is Democrats for you. I know some of you don't want me to keep hounding them, but this is what they're doing, and I'm going to continue to hound them until they change what they're doing because it is ridiculous. And this isn't even the only thing that they're doing. Wait till we get to the next story regarding what Democrats are doing in LA County in California. When I rent a room, I want to make sure my staff is safe. I want to make sure my paying guests are safe. And most importantly, my neighbors are complaining and are complimented and happy with my operation. They're not going to be if you got this type of stuff going on. Patel said the initiative said hotel owners could face legal challenges if they refuse any individual seeking shelter at their business. So because you are a private business owner, the government's going to tell you what you can do with your own business. Continued theme in Los Angeles, continued theme in Portland, Oregon, continued theme in Seattle, Washington, continued theme in New York, continued theme wherever you have these progressive leftists running the show. Patel said the initiative said hotel owners could face, again, legal challenges. A third-party sponsored ballot measure was kicked off, adding his office cannot comment on it before it ends up actually passing. And I would ask the proponents of what enforcement measures they are proposing within that ballot measure itself. Homelessness in Los Angeles County increased by approximately 13% at the beginning of 2020, according to the last annual point-in-time count. Okay, listen carefully. You're sitting down for this? It's going to blow your mind. More than 66,000 homeless people in the county were experiencing homelessness, with over 41,000 in the city. Folks, we have over a quarter of the nation's homeless population. All of the United States, 1/4 of it is in one tiny county. Do you think there's a little bit of an incentive here that the progressive left and Democrat Party are putting in place for a flock of homeless people coming from all over the United States to be here, and now they're giving them more incentives to come here by giving them shelter? And then they can't figure out why everybody's going to vote red. They just can't wrap their heads around it. The same people that can't wrap their heads around what's about to happen are the same people that are giving 40 out of 100 on a critic score for the terminal list, while everybody else is giving it 94 out of 100. The disconnect is just ridiculous. So there's a disconnect there, and this one just really got to get you going. While many COVID-related policies have expired across the majority of the the country, Los Angeles County recently voted to renew its eviction moratorium, which has caused widespread frustration and extreme difficulty for some property owners. You always see this from the Democrat Party and the progressive left. You always screw over one party. And I'm not talking about the Republican Party. You screw over somebody with some sort of initiative that they're trying to put in place to benefit somebody else. All the time. You see this with affirmative action. Screw the whites, screw the Asians, screw the Hispanics. Oh, you're a black person? Perfect. We'll just let you in. Oh, that guy did better than you on the SAT, had a harder life, did all these other things. That doesn't matter. The guy's black, let him on in. Right? So you're benefiting one group of people and just totally screwing over somebody else with certain policies. This is happening right here. Benefiting the tenants, screwing the landowners for multiple years now. Quote, our home has been stolen from us so that tenants, one of whom owns a DeLorean, can go to Burning Man and rent yachts for birthday parties and sail up in hot air balloons, a Los Angeles property owner said at a recent press conference. Our home has been stolen from us, not by our tenants, but by the overly broad policies created under Mayor Garcetti, upheld by the majority of our city council. People vote these idiots in all the time, every freaking year. Quote, you can't walk into your neighborhood grocery store and say, because food is a necessity, I'm going to walk out without paying. No, you can. You can. I know that Cheryl Turner, the board president of the Apartment Association of Greater Los Angeles, said that. But no. You literally can, in Los Angeles County now, just walk in and just take stuff without paying for it. You have Prop 47 in place where literally you could steal almost $1,000, roughly $950 of goods, and you're not going to be prosecuted for it. I mean, how many smash and grabs have we seen of people walking in Louis Vuitton, Bloomingdale's, Walgreens, Rite Aid, stealing a bunch of crap and going, oh, well, because I was oppressed, my family was oppressed and all these other things, I deserve this stuff, I deserve this product. Oh, there's discrimination happening, all these people are getting arrested, whatever it may be. Oh, I deserve this stuff. This is a necessity. While they're taking chapstick, lip balm, deodorant, toothpaste. Oh, I need to feed my family. Really? With Dawn dish soap, you're gonna feed your family with that? You have grocery bags. Okay, just grocery bags, not food in them. You just stole grocery bags. You stole freaking garbage bags, but you're gonna feed your family. No, you're right. You're right. So she's wrong on that note. But she goes on to say, but we are criticized by asserting our rights to collect our rent. An eviction moratorium essentially ensures landlords can't evict tenants if they don't pay rent. Yes, you heard me correctly. This has been going on for years now. An eviction moratorium essentially ensures landlords can't evict tenants if they don't pay rent. Folks, the property tax here in LA County is astronomical. Just the property tax. You're not talking about the utilities. You're not talking about the gas. You're not talking about the water. We live in California. Shiz is expensive, folks. Okay? And now you're not getting rent, so you're footing the bill on everything. On everything for years. People are okay with a little bit. Look, we all want to help people out. And I'm speaking as somebody that's family has multiple properties. We're okay with helping people out for a little bit. We don't want to sit there and screw people over. We have hearts here, especially Christians. But when you're talking years you're going on and you're supposed to foot the bill and just allow somebody to live basically rent free while they're going off doing all these extravagant things and you're footing the bill, barely skating by, maybe taking out more credit cards just to pay off stuff. California put an eviction moratorium in place during the pandemic, and it fully ended on June 30th of this year. Still, the LA City Council recently voted to extend its own moratorium again. It will remain in place through August of next year. You're talking like 3 years of this, or up to 1 year after the local emergency declaration ends. Another vote is expected later this year. Theoretically, the tenants will owe the rent when the moratorium ends. Theoretically. But collecting that money won't be easy. In many cases, landlords will have the right to evict at that time. So basically, you get to live rent-free for years. I can't pay it. Oh, oops. Okay, you got to evict them. What, are you going to take them to small claims court? Maybe you'll win. They don't have any money, supposedly. So you got to deal with that whole debacle. It's not even small claims court because the amount of rent that you would owe, I think would surpass the limit of what small claims court is. And for some reason, small claims court is what is it? Is it 10 or 15? Somebody let me know down below. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's nowhere near because rent in California is through the roof, especially Los Angeles County. So it's going to be probably higher than what you can actually claim in small claims court. Landlords will have the right to evict them at that time, but in the meantime, many of these landlords are unable to pay their mortgages. At a recent press conference at City Hall, landlords argued that the eviction moratorium could bankrupt some of them and force them into foreclosure. They say that some tenants are taking advantage of the program. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they take advantage? For some reason, these progressive left just thinks everybody's a good person, that nobody's going to take advantage of this situation. In the same way, they want to take away your guns as if nobody's going to take advantage of the situation. Oh, you don't have a gun? Perfect. I'm going to rob your ass for everything you're worth right now. You don't have any way to protect yourself? Perfect. Put your hands up. Give me everything in the cash register. This is how idiots think. This is how idiots think. And they just reproduce, they just replicate. So you got more idiots voting in other idiots. Those on the other side of the issue say the moratorium is necessary because people are still struggling to make ends meet. Okay, I'm 100% sure that is the case, okay? Obviously. I went to Starbucks the other day. There was a gentleman standing out front of Starbucks with a sign. I've seen this before. He had his wife with him and like 5 or 6 kids just standing there in a shopping mall, like an outdoor shopping mall. Now, some people might say, oh man, I feel bad for them. I was telling, I don't feel bad for that person. There's so many help wanted signs. It is head spinning. Literally, if that guy would walk less than a mile down the road, you can get paid over $20 an hour at Panda Express to scoop food onto a plate. But you're going to stand there with a sign in front with your family out there. Just go, have her go, take care of the kids. You go walk and just put in applications galore. And the people are like, well, that's messed up, Brad. This happens all over California where people are doing this. There's been news outlets that will track some of these people. They'll stand out there all day. They'll follow them to their brand new truck or their vehicle. They have a lovely house. They're making over 6 figures a year, some of these people are. It is crazy what is going on. That's why I don't give them money. If they want a hot meal, I will go buy them a meal. Again, I'm a person of faith. You want a water? I'll buy you a water. You want a hot meal? I'll buy you a hot meal. I'm not giving you cash. Breaks my heart to see you with your family like that. But this homeless issue is going on in Los Angeles County. You got them screwing over landowners now, property owners, and you got people living rent-free for years that aren't going to sit there and have all that back rent, that back pay being given back to the landlords. There's a set date, or given a set date, something they can look forward to and they can plan for the future. The eviction moratorium has got to end. Rent might come an even more problematic issue in the state due to the inflation and state law signed in 2019 called the Tenant Protection Act. Doesn't allow landlords to raise the rent more than 5% each year, plus the percentage change in the cost of living, in other words, inflation. They could also increase it by 10%, whichever amount is lower in the past. The total increase has been between 5.7 and 9% because inflation is so freaking high under the Biden administration. But like I said, 10% cap is usually what you're going to see, but it doesn't apply to all housing. However, some landlords could technically raise rents more depending on certain numbers, depending on certain circumstances. You don't really see that too much here in LA County. Like you heard, the number is about 5 to 9% of what you're going to see as an increase. I know my rent has increased pretty substantially over the last year, but look, landlords are taking a massive hit and it's not okay. Whenever somebody's putting in some sort of policy, you have to think of who's it affecting? Whose liberty is it affecting? Whose rights are it affecting? And a lot of time we just focus on one group of people when we have to focus on two groups of people. Furthermore, we have to see not just the short-term benefit or ramifications, but we have to see the long-term benefit or ramifications as well. They're looking at the short term and have been looking at the short term for quite some time going, well, there's a pandemic, everything was shut down. People are going to understand, hey, I'm not able to pay my rent for a little while. We're going on now for what they want, 3 years of not paying rent. You're not going to be able to pay that back because you're talking, some rent, if you do $2,000, even 2 years, you're looking at $48,000 in rent. Who the hell just has $48,000 plus laying around for rent? And that's me lowballing it. If we're talking about housing here, your rent's more than $2,000. And this is being footed, all this, by the tenants? It's crazy. It's just crazy. Of course, you can maybe take a loss, or you're not reporting any income, so you would have a loss on your Schedule E for your tax return for that rental property. And depending on what you have, that can be carried over for a certain amount of years. So there is a little bit of a benefit there, but that benefit is not proportional to what they're having to deal with. I can go on for freaking hours on this. But folks, as always, I just want to thank you for the community that we have built here. We got conservatives, Republicans, moderates, independents, and some Democrats here that do watch the show because, look, we speak common sense here on the Bald Brad Show. Folks, hell of a community. Continue to support us by leaving a comment. And I do want to say an important message here. Something that's going to help us out a lot, actually, because what's happening, and if anybody wants to see the polls that we've been releasing here on the Bald Brad Show, a lot of people aren't getting the notifications. Even if you have the bell rung, you're getting unsubscribed even though you're not doing it. You're getting your comments deleted even though I'm not doing it. YouTube is doing it. You're not deleting them yourselves. I don't have any control over this stuff. The only thing that you and I can have control over is this. Try not to skip through the episodes. I know we're running, 40 minutes or so plus, but when you skip through the episode, you don't let it just run, it actually hurts the show a lot. It hurts the algorithm. The algorithm wants to see interactions. It wants to see viewership, and it tracks every second that you watch. So even if you're not interested in a story, just go ahead and mute it and just wait for the next story to pop up and watch it that way if you can. It really does benefit the show to sit there and listen to all the ads and then just watch all the way through. If you do that, you would be supporting the show tremendously. I really look forward to you not just supporting the show, but also to continue to bring news and information that Democrats and the Biden administration aren't willing to bring you, and just kind of bring you all the facts and conservative commentary. As always, thank you so much, folks, and I'll see you tomorrow here on the Bald Brad Show.